Of course, Israel's going to say, hey, we can't do this because look what happened at Gaza. So there'll be some kind of part of the policing arrangement. I keep feeling that there's going to be something a little different that will cause Israel to agree to it. Yeah, we'll do it if you do it this way. Right, like a negotiation. Yeah, as long as Hamas can't come back in there, yes, we got the right to police it. Right. I so feel that. Yeah, there's something like that going to happen.
Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast, a father-daughter duo focusing on sharing revelations through conversations with the Lord. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast. I'm Lindsay here with my dad, Shane. And if you guys have been following us for the last year and a half, you're probably seeing some of the prophecies we've put on this channel coming to pass. We're going to talk about those today and some of the current events that we have going on and what's going to happen later on. We cannot wait to get started with you.
And Lindsay, there's a lot of things going on. We've just come through a major prophecy that we put out about the peace agreement. And, we talked about it being a two-state solution.
Right.
And if you look at peace plan, what it calls for later on is that there'll be an Arab coalition or a coalition of nations that come in and step in and help govern. And if you remember, we'll try to put that clip up where I said there's going to be a two-state solution, but it's not going to be exactly, there's going to be another party other than Hamas and Palestinians that's going to be kind of controlling it. And that's exactly what his peace plan calls for. And, we did that live.
Right.
And the Lord gave me those words while we were doing the podcast. So we'll go back there and find that clip and let it play.
It was like a year and a half ago. I remember this. I thought he's really sticking his neck out here because at that time, our president had said there's not going to be a two-state solution. And we had people in the comments saying there will never be peace in the Middle East. There's not going to happen. Like you made that up or, whatever. And I thought, man, I hope he gets this right because people are going to remember that prophecy. And when I saw it happen the other day on TV, oh, what a relief. And I'm just so thankful we knew it had to happen for what is coming soon.
Well, the Lord's you just got to let go of the reins and let him live. So we'll put that clip up right now.
Next year, the two-state solution, which is going to be pressured by the nations. In fact, the UN has already voted to recognize Palestine as a state.
Oh.
They don't even have one, and they've already voted because the pressure coming. There's like 143 nations has already voted that. Of course, America and Israel haven't yet, but they've already voted to make a Palestinian, and it will be. Of course, Israel's going to say, hey, we can't do this because look what happened at Gaza. So there'll be some kind of part of the policing arrangement. I keep feeling that there's going to be something a little different that will cause Israel to agree to it. Yeah, we'll do it if you do it this way. Right, like a negotiation. Yeah, as long as Hamas can't come back in there, yes, we got the right to police it. Right. I so feel that. Yeah, there's something like that going to happen.
That there would be something that happened that Israel would be all right. There would be somebody other than Hamas or other than the Palestinians that would be policing the new state or Palestinian state.
Right.
That Israel would be all right with it. So what do you think about that? I mean, we went ahead. I mean, that wasn't me. That was not me. And to explain that much detail about it, and then he actually writes it into the peace plan that way.
Right.
It's amazing.
That's crazy that you were literally, sometimes I can tell when the Holy Spirit is speaking through you because you don't even remember a lot of times what you said, and we have to go back and rewatch it because you're like, it wasn't me talking. I was just a vessel. And you're just kind of going on. And I thought, oh my goodness, I hope he realizes what he's saying. So it's amazing to turn on the news and to see this happen right before our eyes. You see the plane fly in, you see all the leaders get together, and before you know it, we have a peace agreement and more to come.
And one of the things we talked about, in that one vision where we had the blue smoke and Benjamin Netanyahu was in it, and then blue smoke, and our leader and the crown prince of Saudi Arabia was in there.
Yes.
And then that cord wound you know. And lo and behold, who was on the front line of that signing?
Probably the first person to sign. It looked like
Prince was sitting over there, and they've been pushing hard. If you go back and look, they pushed hard for this.
And he's a great man. He's an amazing leader. And another man who's been a friend of mine for a long time.
For this Palestinian stuff. So, that's where we're at with it.
yes, I remember you saying, our leader is not wanting this right now, but the pressure is going to hit.
I said Israel and our leader, neither one wants this, but the pressure is going to come, and then what happened? The UN, voted, had a big assembly over it, and then yeah. It had to get to our leader because he wouldn't have been putting so much emphasis on this. And then your husband comes out with this in October.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So this very morning when I woke up, the Lord's presence come up on me that I could see in October. And then it just like dawned on me, oh, wait a minute. They announced they were going to do the peace thing in October.
Okay.
They actually signed it in October. And I think the third part's going to be implemented before the end of October. Because, and it's what we said the other time, they're not done yet. And what have they done now? They started ruling again. Then our leader went after them and said, hey, you've got to disarm. So that's what the rest of it. And then when that gets done, somehow in this mix, and I don't know, I'm doing it again, somehow in this mix, the temple issue is going to come up. I don't know if it's because that Israel will have such pressure on them to accept this as these stages start becoming fulfilled, that they will say, well, we'll do this if you let us have the Temple Mount.
Oh, like a bargaining tool.
I feel like there's something like that coming up before too long, before this month's over, because I think that's the last it's in October thing that he was talking about. We've already got two of it's in October, the announcement of the peace plan, the signing and the meeting for the peace plan. But I think the other one, the implementation of being able to take over the Temple Mount or have access to the Temple Mount to build their temple.
Exactly. That was one of my questions when I had seen this. I was like, Dad, oh my gosh, that prophecy, it was far-fetched, but it happened in a year and a half from when you said. And then I thought, well, what does this mean for the Temple Mount? Because we know the Temple Mount has to be back under their control so they can start building their third temple. And then the Antichrist will show up and the two witnesses.
That's the thing about right there you just said. I think that once that agreement to allow the temple to be built is when he's going to show up. I got that feeling. I don't know how to explain it. And then after that agreement, then the two witnesses will show up and do their 1260-day prophecy. So it's kind of exciting times. We got two of the Octobers. We got to wait for the third one. But I think before this month's over with, we're going to get that third one.
Oh my goodness!
I think that's why his vision was the way it is. So yeah, we're living in exciting times. Also, a little bit scary.
Yes. I mean, to see Moses and Elijah, part of you wants to just hop on a plane and fly to Israel. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then the Antichrist, when we know is going to come forth in Iran.
Well, as long as we ain't there during the middle part.
Yes, we might want to stay in our corner.
I would like to go over when they show up. I would like to go over and talk to them, but it's definitely Moses and Elijah. I know a lot of people don't want to believe that, but if you take all the scriptures that it talks about these two witnesses and look at them closely, like we analyzed them back in the two witness thing, you can't come to any other conclusion because Enoch cannot see death. He was translated that he not see death.
And we know they're going to die.
And these guys are going to die. And then you had Jude where it said that Michael and Satan got in a fight over the body of Moses. Well, that was for some reason.
Oh my, that
Yeah.
that's one of those things that always perplexed me. But now I see in the full picture. Of course, I know why. He knows.
Well, the other thing is the Bible will be in error if it wasn't those two. Into the fact that it said the two anointed ones, which Moses and Elijah both were anointed, that stand before the Lord of the whole earth, which happened on the Transfiguration. Why wasn't it Moses and Enoch there? Or why wasn't it Enoch and Elijah there?
Wow.
It had to be fulfilled because the scripture said, and the only way we know that that could be fulfilled is if we have some record of it, and that record's a Transfiguration. Moses and Elijah appeared there for a reason, and it's because they were fulfilling Zechariah and they were fulfilling Revelation 11. So it's those two, and they're going to show up, and it's going to go back to, it's like last chapter of Malachi says, to that Elijah would show up and not to forget the law of Moses. It's telling us the very last book's telling us again, hey, they're coming.
Oh my goodness.
And they both were olive trees. Enoch was never an olive tree.
Yes, that's true.
Olive trees were a blessing of the land, and Moses and Elijah was of the land, and Enoch never was an Israelite. He was before Abraham, so he can't be an Israelite.
He was not in the covenant.
He wasn't in the covenant. So it's kind of exciting that them two is going to show up here before too long.
Oh my goodness.
And then the man of sin ascends out of the bottomless pit. He's not born. He's not walking around here. He ascends, but he may have already ascended and then just not been revealed yet. So we're looking for that. And I know it's a lot of parts we're going to have to watch come together, but it's there.
It's there. And just like we had mentioned last time with CERN working to open up portals.
Yeah.
How perfect that something would ascend from the bottomless pit through another dimension into our world.
And the other prophet, Brandon, he came out and said,
yes, somebody had commented and said, watch this video.
Yeah.
You've got to see this. And so we watched it, and
wasn't much different from the time I said that was going to happen. He said he's seen it.
How ironic is that? So yeah. Now we've seen another prophetic channel, and what he's saying is matching up. So got two witnesses.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So just stay close to the Lord is all I can tell you to do, right?
Yes.
So let's go back and do a little recap. Our leader, we said would come to power, and he did. And that was, a lot of people was telling us, oh, you're wrong about that.
He prophesied that in April.
Yeah, Lindsay, I got a word back on January 6th about Donald Trump. And I put it out on Facebook, but I didn't really push it very hard. My gift is to interpret things.
Correct.
Kind of an interpreting prophet. I don't really prophesy a lot of things, but I hear and I do get words of knowledge from time to time. But that's not my big gift. My big gift is to look at the situation and put it together. And that's why I like the scripture so much, as the Lord interprets those passages to me.
Right.
So when that gift kicks in, well, one of the things the Lord had pointed out to me, that Donald Trump will be the one that gets the two-state solution together. And that he will broker that. And I thought he was going to do it in his first term. Now, I did not get a word that he was going to have two terms, but I did get a word that he was going to be the one that brokered it. So when he didn't win, I was like, whoa, what's up with this? Back, on January the 6th, when all the turmoil took place, that night I prayed a prayer. And I asked the Lord, I said, well, what's going on? I thought you revealed to me that he was going to be the one. And here he's not even going to be president.
It was such a confusing.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't understand this, because they had confirmed, everything. And I was like, okay, what's going on with this? Well, that very night, I was actually having to stay with my mother because my dad was sick.
Okay.
And I was asleep, and I woke up pretty early in the morning, and I was praying. I was like, God, I don't understand this. And the Spirit opened up a hole and spoke to me. He said, it's the strategy of AI. I was like, the strategy of AI? What in the world is that?
That was from the Lord, because that you wouldn't just come up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, what is the strategy of Ai? So I flipped through the Bible and I found Ai.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they came into the promised land, of course, they took Jericho first.
Right.
The next little town they went to was Ai. And so there was a guy named Achan had stolen a Babylonian garment, a wedge of gold, and some silver. They went up to Ai and started to fight it. And of course, Ai kicked her tails.
Right.
And then Joshua came back later, and we'll stick up those verses where you can look it up. But Joshua came back later and said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And the Lord said, "There's sin in the camp." And so they paraded all the families by, and they came across Achan, and he finally confessed, and they found the Babylonian garment, the wedge of gold, and the silver in his tent. And then they stoned him and all his family and all of his kids and everything. All right. Well, this is where the strategy of Ai comes in. So what their strategy this time was since that Israel had been defeated the last time, Ai was pumped. When they kicked their tail once, they come back some more, get some more of this. So what they did is they went up to Ai, and then when everybody was getting ready to fight, they ran.
Okay.
So everybody in the city thought, "Oh, we got them again," So they all poured out of the city, and they surrounded them, and then they destroyed them. And then they went in and burned up the city. All right.
Wow.
And I was like, what's the deal with that? How is this Trump thing a strategy of Ai?
Right.
And so as time went on, I kept thinking, well, strategy AI, the guy looks like he's defeated. He looks like he's going down.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they're all going to be, they're all running and everybody's scared.
Right. Yeah.
And then they come out of the city, and then, of course, they know. Well, that's what's happened with Trump. That's what the Lord has revealed to me that he meant by that. Trump didn't know who his enemies was.
Ooh.
He had no idea who his enemies was. And now he knows who his enemies is.
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to be elected for the second term.
Right.
And, we're not being political here. I'm being more prophetic than I am political.
Right.
But he's going to be elected, and his job is to get that two-state solution. And the enemy knows that. And the enemy is doing all this stuff to stop him from getting into office because he knows he will fulfill that in the future. And that's why there's been such a
uproar
and coming against Trump with all these lawsuits, with all these things that's happened.
And they try to murder him now.
Yeah. The other day they tried to shoot him. But I did not see that coming. I have heard people that did see it coming, but I didn't see that coming. But here's what I did know. I knew he hadn't done the strategy of AI yet.
So he had to have that second term to do so.
Well, he did. And the strategy of AI, of course, is a military. All right. It's a military maneuver. All right.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what I feel like God showed me. God showed me that when Trump gets into office, all right,
okay,
he's going to use the military to clear out some things.
I can totally see that happening.
And that's the full strategy of AI because it was a military maneuver. So I wanted to let you know, and you can watch it, that he will have military tribunals. There'll be stuff in
Of
that.
2024.
Yes. And then it came to pass. Even
Yes.
through all of the stuff he went through, even death.
Hits on his life, attempted, assassinations, all those things. It's still,
So that came to pass.
Yeah.
And then the Lord gave me a word about the heifers.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that's going to happen. And then I got this feeling about spring. And it turns out that they chose the heifer in spring.
Right.
And then they sacrificed it.
Yeah, and that was on the first day of July.
Yes. And it happened. And there's, people will say, well, that wasn't the real one. Yeah, it was. See, there's a debate between the Jews. There's always a debate. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, they all were always debating.
Right.
But there was a debate about that one. According to Numbers 19 in the Torah, they did it kosher. It just says that it can't have a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they took that in the Talmud and went crazy with it, saying, "Oh, we can't have over 2 white hairs." You know, a spot's a spot.
Right, right.
You can't have a blemish.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have a blemish. It can't have had a yoke put upon it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to be sacrificed by a kosher priest. And that one was.
So they have a good argument there that this may end up being, they have the ashes already. They've already sacrificed it. This could actually be the red heifer.
Could be.
Um,
Well, I mean, they did it. I mean, the original red heifer wasn't in Israel at all.
right. That's
You
right.
remember, it was out in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't even in Israel
Mm-hmm.
because Moses was there when that one was sacrificed, and he never got to go into the promised land. So we know that it was, you know, kosher, everything, because God sanctified it, you know, dedicated, gave the command for it and everything, and they did it according to the way the Torah said to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then they start adding all these traditions. You remember Jesus talking about the traditions of men.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now a group of them says, "Oh, it's got to be not 2 hairs. It's got to be on the Mount of Olives. It's got to be, you know, all this stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what the Torah says. So, you know, it's just somebody putting so many rules on it that you can't actually have one.
Right. I could see them getting the Temple Mount, like you said, very soon, and the Temple Institute being like, okay, it's our time. And then them not being able to find another red heifer that they're satisfied with and just using this one to kind of speed things up. I'm not prophesying that. I'm just saying that could be what ends up happening, and that would make this red heifer the red heifer.
Yeah,
that will
they've
be
got
used.
his ashes, so it's actually happened, and the Lord told me it was going to be done, and it was done. So we told all that, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started, you know, getting the different prophecies about the covenant coming, about the, you know, the one with Benjamin Netanyahu, our leader, and his crown prince. That came. We prophesied that, and then your husband's in October.
We'll have to throw those clips up there if you haven't seen those. We would love for you to go back and watch those.
You know, after he had that vision about October, I had the encounter with the Lord that was talking about Apophis, which will come Friday the 13th of 2029. And when you back up 3.5 years, it puts you in October of this year. So that was the second witness to your husband's vision. So
in the same night, we'll add, he was having a vision. You had that experience. And let's not forget my Apophis dream from college.
Yeah, she had a dream about a natural disaster coming.
Right.
About we were all waiting for it to hit.
In a church, and we can throw that, that was another episode that we did. We can throw that one up. But yeah, so we were sitting in a church just waiting, like looking at the sky out this A-frame window, just waiting for something to come. We were peaceful. We knew it was going to happen. And like, we were just waiting for that. And so, and that's funny because like I said, I mean, college was, you know, I graduated in 2011. So, I mean, it was a while back.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I going to do with this? What does this mean? I think it's prophetic, but I'm not really sure. And he was giving me a major preview, I think, to prepare my heart that I would be alive during these times.
Well, the other thing is the vision I had before you come to Tennessee when you were talking about building the house, and I told you I seen the inside of the house.
We never did an episode on that.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Oh, well, remind us.
Well, I had met with your husband, and he showed me, you know, some plans of a house y'all wanted to build. And then I went into this vision that very night, and I told him what color floors you were going to have, you know, how your kitchen was going to be laid out. And I looked out the window, and there was these fireballs coming down, and this voice said, "You're not going to escape this." And so, of course, now you got your house, you got the exact same layout, the same cabinets, everything.
Well, what's funny is we came into a house being built, so we didn't even pick this based off your vision. We came into it, the cabinets were already there, the floors were already there, and you're like, this is it, this is what I saw. And I was like, what?
Yeah, the only difference is part of your cabinets are gray, and in the vision they were all white. So I don't know if you'll end up painting them one of these days or what the deal is, but that's the way I seen them. Anyway, maybe it's something else. But anyway, the base cabinet for your island is white.
Right.
But the rest of your cabinets in the vision is white. They look just the same, but they were a different color.
That's really funny
So I'm
because
sitting around waiting on you to have to paint them or something.
I've actually mentioned it's really like an HD TV thing to like have them two-toned, so like white ones and then gray at the bottom, so they're kind of a light gray. So I even told him, like, do you think could we paint the tops of them white? And that might be actually what ends up happening in the next couple months.
I don't know.
So
That's the way it looked in the vision.
I forgot about that vision, and maybe, yeah, I guess we had put that on an episode. I don't remember putting that on an episode, but I remember we've talked about it a lot, and was kind of another witness to like the things coming from the sky, the fire, which is another Apophis reference.
Right.
And so the Lord told you it's going to happen. So,
well, so that's where we're at right now. We've got to be looking now. What will happen after this agreement starts? The first 3.5 years will be the harvest of the wheat. You know, we talked about it has to fall first before it actually, but it has to grow into the harvest.
right.
So that this part is the time that those people who are not in the kingdom will start coming in, and it'll be like Acts on steroids. I keep saying, and I found another passage in Joel that says that the Spirit would be poured out. Let's go over and read that right now.
Okay.
So we're in Joel chapter 2, and this is verse 23. And I read this the other day, and I was like, oh, this is saying the same thing that we were talking about in Hosea. It says, be glad then, you children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. So the former rain and the latter rain is going to come at one time, and that's the Spirit. Because what happens with them, they were born physically in 1948. They've got to be born again, which is in the middle of the week, right?
Right. Okay.
And so in the middle of that week, they come to the knowledge of who Christ is. Whenever the Antichrist says he's God in the temple of God, they realize the Spirit opens their eyes, and that's the former and the latter rain coming at one time. So it's a double portion of the Spirit.
Wow.
And it'll pull everybody. It'll literally start at the first of it. And it will pull everybody that's going to get saved into the gospel of the kingdom till the center part, right?
Right.
And then when that happens, then the door will shut. And then those people who did not respond to the truth according to 2 Thessalonians will have strong delusion poured out. So God's not going to delude us and then convict us at the same time. So once he makes that determination, and once the abomination of desolation has taken place, the gospel is finished, the Antichrist gets full power for 42 months, the grape harvest starts, and it starts this as the Spirit is poured out to bring forth the wheat. The delusion will be poured out to bring forth the grapes. And that's what he keeps showing me this is all about. And that's why there's two sickles. You remember we told about the sickle go in, pull in the wheat.
Yes.
Then the second one pulled in the vine and all, not just, because there's no more crop of this kind of grapes after that. So he pulls it in,
Because it's over.
Because it's over. We've talked about that, but it's what happens during this time. It's those two sections. So what happens when the Antichrist does the abomination of desolation, right? Jesus says in Matthew, run, flee, pray that it's not on the Sabbath, right?
Right.
Pray it's not in the winter. And then he says, woe unto those who have children and give suck in that day, because it's going to be hard to run with a child.
Right.
Now, this is all going back to what happened when Antiochus Epiphanes came in, and for 3.5 years there was tribulation in Israel because he was a shadow and type of the Antichrist. And it's repeating it again on a bigger scale. They will flee. And Hosea says, from the desert just like when they came into the promised land the first time, God will call them back, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And it says in Revelation 12 that the woman flees into the desert,
Right.
just like Hosea says.
Mm-hmm.
They'll run out of Israel, and then the Israel will be trampled down, and that's what's going to happen with this peace agreement. It's going to escalate the other way. And when it does, 2/3 of the inhabitants of Israel will be destroyed. God says 2/3 of them die.
Right.
And I think their eyes will be open, but he allows that many to die, and then he says he brings the third through the fire, which will include the 144,000, but it may be more than that. I don't know how many,
Right. Yeah.
But that's what's sad about it, is they've all gathered back into there, and 2/3 of them are going to perish.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll, it's just, we can see it building right now. The world's against them.
Right.
We can already see it building. We see, and what this peace agreement's going to do is it's going to calm down this conflict for a while to the point that they relax. And when they do, it's going to flip it the other way. For 3.5 years, it'll be relaxed and everything will be going good. And then he'll show up and do his stuff. And then it's going to be way worse than anything we've ever seen over there. So now remember that tribulation is basically upon those people.
Mm-hmm.
But God keeps a remnant saved.
Right.
Just like he talked about in Romans, there's always a remnant of them he saves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming. We just seeing the groundwork laying for it right now in this peace agreement.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody, I feel like lately, so many people have been so anti-Israel. It's been such a thing. And that just shows me that the enemy is pressing on people to be against God's people.
Well, it goes back to the dragon. The dragon's doing his thing,
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the 7 heads of the dragon. Every time the dragon struck, some nation came after Israel.
Right.
Try to destroy them, trying to wipe out their seed. And that will continue. That'll be his play till he goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll do the most damage at the end with it. But then he'll be gone and we won't have to deal with him anymore.
Yes.
There'll be no more dragon.
Right. I love talking about this stuff because it's like when it happens, we knew it was going to happen. It's not going to surprise us. God has let us know in his word. He's let us know by the people who can interpret, who have interpreted his word, those who prophesied. It's not going to be a surprise to us when things start happening, like the two witnesses, like the
And it's not the end.
And it's not the end.
No, that's the thing I got to keep in mind. It's not the end. It's not the end of us, nor is it the end of God's kingdom.
Right.
The gates of hell will not prevail against it.
Yes.
And yes, there'll be lots of people perish that are Christians during that last 42 months, but some will survive, according to Paul, because they'll be alive and they won't die till they see the Lord.
Right.
And well, then that's the thing. Even though you're a Christian, your body's not saved. So if you see the Lord in this physical body, it will kill you.
Right.
So
right. We talked about that last time. The glory of the Lord.
The glory of the Lord
is what people hide.
Flesh and blood can't handle it.
Yes.
So,
but this is just like a chapter in our story.
Yeah.
Like people sink everything into this world, and we're just passing through here. That we're put here to make a decision about how we're really going to live our life when we get there. This is not the end. We haven't even started living.
Well, it's experiences. We're going through all these experiences that we won't have to ever go through again. But there's, the wisdom from going through the experience is invaluable to us. I mean, we're not ever going to question God when we get there. We're going to see what it's like when God lets men rule. When he lets somebody else rule, we'll see what that's like.
Right.
That's what we're seeing, right? And we'll see how hopeless it is and how impossible it is to make it work unless God's God.
Right.
And that was the very question that threw this whole sinful world into it.
That's the whole
plunged
thing
us into
started
sin.
it, and we're going to see that is going to be what ends it as well, for the good for us. And we have a lot to look forward to. We're getting close to getting to start our actual lives with Jesus.
Just keep your eyes open. The next thing happens, that last October thing in that vision, the temple agreement. That's what should happen next. And, Hamas is not going to disarm. So there'll be some kind of conflict start up about that again. And that's what, they say peace and safety. Well, that means the reason that they're crawling for it. And the reason that the people, when they received their hostages back, their family members, they were so happy. There was a trouble that had to come before you could be that happy.
Right.
It would have been a lot better if none of them, but it's part of the plan. But, there's going to be this pressure is going to keep building. Our leader is trying to leverage as he's making these agreements, but you're not going to leverage somebody that's bent on killing you.
Right.
It just ain't going to work. So keep praying for Israel. That is Jesus's family. If you want to know how important to Jesus that is, it's written on the palms of his hands. It says, literally got the nails through for them, for us also.
Yeah.
Because we are grafted into his people. We didn't replace them. We grafted into him.
He adopted us.
And you can't say that, he's cast them away and now he's grabbed us. That ain't the way it worked. We got grafted into them. So they're the root and we're the branches coming in. So, so that's what we've want to update a little bit about some of the things we said. We'll be putting clips in there.
And of course, we'll continue to keep you all posted on everything as it plays out. We want to see you in heaven.
Just confess your sins, make Jesus the Lord of your life, abide in him, and walk with him, and you will live with him forever.
If you are enjoying the content and would like to support our ministry, you can do so through Venmo or PayPal. Our handle is @CardingTruth, or use our QR code.
We are definitely living in exciting times, as we say often these days, and we are so thankful that you guys are here with us. We want to thank our subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, we would love if you would like, subscribe, and click that bell for more notifications. We will definitely keep in touch. We have lots more to come, and we hope that you'll be with us. And from Carding Truth, we pray that you are blessed.